let me start recording. All right. So, all right. So here we are. So we have bringing this corgi in, and if he's a little big, and if you bring in anything, as you can see, the brackets here bleed over the sides. So what you can always do is you can always right-click, go to transform, and I believe you can also go into layer and then transform. So you can go to, I like to go fit to comp height. The reason why I don't always like to go fit to comp is because, as you can see, you got that squishy stretch right there. So what that does, what this will do is, let's see, I fit to comp height. What this does is it automatically will have the scale transformations fit to your comp. So it's a nice little, it's a nice way in case, especially if you have, let's say, things are like somewhat unaligned. You know, like you accidentally like misaligned something, instead of you trying to kind of like fiddle with it, you can just always go to transform, fit to comp height, and it automatically centers it. So it's a nice little trick to use. Again, we've got our, all right, transparent background, not that, let's use title action save grid. Okay, I want you guys to get into the habit of using this grid all the time. Now this grid, which can be found here, at this toggle switch right here. So always just like click on it, make sure that it's on, and this grid does not render. So when you're making a video, you're not gonna see this grid. What it's great to do, it's great for using placement. So it gives you an idea as to where, you know, where your action safe zone is going to be. And let me also show you Command R, or you can go into View, Show Rulers, all right? And there we have our nice rulers right here on the side. Their system is based off of pixels. And if you need to, what I like to do is I'm going to go over to the ruler on top, click, hold, drag down, and now I've got a guide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create like a little guide here, and then I'm going to bring my corgi up here, and I'm going to reduce the scale. Reduce the scale. There we go. And as you can see, it's snapping. So one thing, if you don't necessarily want the snap can be useful, but if you don't want the snap, you can go and you can go into View and see where it says checked, snap to guides. You can just click on that. Boom. Now you've got a little bit more control. And I'm going to also just bring it. Whoa, there we go. Perfect. Okay. So we got 20 seconds. I'm actually going to bring this, I'm going to bring this down to 6 seconds and trim comp to work area. All right. So again, I often like to, you know, when it comes to staging, I like to just go in, I'm halfway, and I'm going to actually bring it over here, and I'm going to click on the position. I'm going to go all the way to the beginning, and then as you guys can see how I'm dragging, and then you can see this little chain that's happening here. All right. So what this is basically, this is called your motion path. All right. Now, as you guys can also see how these little dots right here, they're all the same. They're all unison in distance. This is basically how fast it's going to be. So, in other words, it's almost kind of like this, almost like mechanical feel to it. All right. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate our friend here, and I'm going to call this one. Corgi. No ease. All right, so he's going to stay there. All right, and I am going to actually bring this corgi down. Now, here's another little trick. I'm going to call this one corgi ease. Okay, and let's say you need to move something that's already on that you've already put keyframes on. Here's a nice little trick. Because if I were to move corgi ease, you have to basically bring everything, like depending on how many keyframes you have, it could get really, really messy really quickly. So what I like to do is The one that I want to move, I'll just quickly go into New, or you can go into Layer, New, and create a null. And nulls are really great because essentially what they are is empty space, but they have their own property controls. So as you can see, a null right here, it still has the same transform properties. And it's shown here by this red square that, again, does not get rendered. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the Corgi ease, that one that I actually want to change, and I'm going to go here to the parent and link, and I'm going to tether it to the null. Okay, and now, basically what I do with this null, the Corgi here is going to follow. And I'm actually going to take the position, so we've got X and then we've got Y. So Y is the up and down, so this right here, this input, the 540, I'm actually going to drag and bring it down. And as you can see, I'm dragging the null, and the null, so think of the null as a little carrying basket, okay? So I'm just carrying this, so now, boom, so our Corgi got 2 Corgis now. All right. So now that I no longer need to, well, maybe just bring them up just a little bit. There we go. All right. So now, okay, so we've got very slow. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to untether. Don't worry, guys, it'll get much more exciting, I promise. So what I'm also going to do is actually, I see these two right here. I'm actually going to take these and I'm going to just drag them so it's not too slow. There we go. There we go. So what I'm going to do now with Corgi ease, with this guy, I'm basically going to select position, and now I'm engaged in the 2 keyframes, okay? And as you can see, you've got the little bit of this chain right here. Now, a quick way to add easy ease, you can just go in and keyframe assistant. So I would basically select, notice how both of these are diamonds, okay? So I can just go in and you can go up to animation and keyframe assistant, easy ease or F9. Or I like to just kind of select and right click, easy ease. So as you can see now, if you notice, all right, let's zoom in. So now let's look at this one. See how all these little points are very much in unison, and now see how all these little points here, they tend to get much closer together as they reach the ends, okay? So let me show you how these, see that? See how it kind of sort of started, this guy right here was really, really fast, and then he slowed down, and then he basically like sped up, and when he slowed down, if that makes any sense, that's basically what you're doing is easy ease. You're basically adjusting the velocity between the 2 keys. How you do that, how you can go in and manually adjust it, you can basically go in, and let me show you. I'm going to go into the no ease first. I'm going to select these, and as you can see, I'm going to check on this graph editor, this little icon right here. I'm going to click on it, and right now we're in the value graph. So what I want to do is actually I want to go into the speed graph. Okay, so as you can see these points right here, these represent the keyframes. So I can select them both, and they've got those little adjustments right here. Now I'm not going to touch this because we already have our ones with our eases. So, but I can manually adjust it if I want to, or I can go in here with these little toggle switches and just do some quick easy ease. You can play with different ones, and they'll have different effects. So let me actually just go in, and I'm going to pick this one. So as you can see how this Corgi, his keyframes have this nice little bell curve, okay? So what I can do, like I said, I can go in here manually, and I can adjust. So now what it will do is it'll have like a really slow, let's see, let me show you. See that? So if you guys want to, what you guys can do is you guys can play around, and we're going to be doing a lot of this in this lab today, so I want you guys to kind of mess around with this, it kind of sort of like builds up. And I prefer, unless I'm really doing something with the value graph, like a bounce effect, which you can do, but and I'll show you how to do a bounce effect. It gets a little bit more complicated with the value graph. I prefer the speed graph because, again, most of the time I'm going to be adjusting the eases through the speed graph anyway, because it makes it look, just those little touches is what's going to help your motion graphics pop a little bit more. So as you can see, it's going to, and I'm going to get all weird, like I'm just going to get like all like have too much fun with this because I am that kind of person. You can adjust it. There we go. So you can just kind of, again, play around with the bell curve. So let's say if you want to do a quick bounce effect. All right. So with our guy right here, what you can do is I'm going to go in. I'm going to switch to value graph. All right. So one thing about the value graph is you gotta kind of do a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? If you're doing positions, you have to be aware that both the Y, which is this line right here. So as you can see, the Y is completely flat because the corgi's not going up and down. He's only going side to side. So as a result, the value from this key is going to be the same as the value from that key. The only one that has any change is the X value, which is side to side. So what I'm going to do then, because they're both essentially they're both constrained together, so I'm going to right click, separate dimensions, and what that did is essentially it separated them both. And now I kind of have to do. Basically, I have to kind of go in with the X position, which is side to side, and as you can see, the reason why like this is not changing, but this is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to give our friend here a little bit of a bounce and snap back. So I'm going to quickly select this keyframe, and I'm going to have easy ease in. And I'm also going to kind of give it a little bit of a snap. So he's basically going to go and he's going to overshoot his original position, which is here. I'll show you what I mean. It's a little bit sudden. Pretty much, yes, exactly. So easy ease using the graph editor. It's a great way to add a little extra motion without adding too many keyframes. One thing you guys can also do, and maybe this is like I'm going to show you how to do a quick expression. So what I want to do is I want to get back into the timeline. So I'm going to click out of the graph editor, which is right here, and I'm going to quickly do. I'm going to go into the composition settings, and I'm going to make it from 5 seconds. I'm going to make this 20 seconds, and there we go. So 20 seconds, 20 full lovely seconds, and let's see, you gotta adjust. And now I'm going to quickly take these two, take our corgis here, and as you could see, they disappear. So what I want to do is I'm going to quickly take them both and I'm going to stretch it all the way to the end. All right. So the reason why what I'm about to show you is I'm going to show you guys how to do a looping expression. Okay. So instead of having to take these, let's say like copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. You guys get the idea. I'm going to show you how to do a quick looping expression. If you want an animation that's basically going to loop in the background or whatever, and you don't want to touch it anymore, I'm going to show you guys a little quick thing to do. So with this guy right here, I'm going to hold down Alt, click on the stopwatch icon, and what that does is it opens up the expressions panel. Okay, so you've got this little thing that says transform position. So what I want to do now is I'm going to add a loop out. And that's like the easiest of expressions to do. They even, and as you can see, just by typing something in, the prompt knows exactly what you're planning on doing. So loop outs are great. I believe they're good for position. I don't know if they're good for scale. I have to check. I haven't done one in scale in a while, and I have to check. I think they're good for opacity. They're great. They're easy to do, but they're not. They don't. Not all the transformations properties adhere to the loop out or the looping expressions. So I think some are better at it than others. I'll have to take a look. But let's see. I put in. You got the loop out. You got parentheses, then you've got your two little quotation marks. So it's asking, okay, so you want to do a loop out expression. How is this going to work? So I'm actually going to do ping pong, and then I'm going to go to the end. So loop out, parentheses, open quotations, ping pong, close quotations, close parentheses. I know, really exciting. And then you want to hit the command, which is basically semicolon. So by doing that, you're basically, what semicolon does is you're saying, this is what I want to happen. It's like the period at the end of a sentence. All right? So, huh? Pretty much. But yeah, it is. It is. And you can go down that rabbit hole real fast, but don't worry, guys. I'm not going to expect you guys to be doing scripts. Okay? Don't worry about it. Believe me, I am not a script person myself. But, you know, knowing little bits and things like this can be a little fun. It's also a great time saver. I'm not expecting you guys to be like, you know, to go totally crazy, but hopefully you guys can, you know, master a loop out or two. So as you can see, it's got, right now what this loop out expression is doing, it's using these two keyframes as points of reference. So basically it's taking just these two, and it is going to, there we go. So while our friend here is stuck, ours is going to keep on going and going and going. So what do we do about our friend here? Well, I'm glad you asked. Is I'm basically just going to hit copy. And that's another thing, the cool thing about After Effects, a lot of copy paste. So I want to go into the X position, hit Alt, and then I'm just going to hit Command V. And I believe, if I did it right, yeah, he's going to be like bouncing, a little bit of a whiplash effect there. But you guys pretty much get the idea. So now, the cool thing about loop outs, set it and forget it. Okay? Any questions so far?
You guys, if I click, I'll click on the Summer.
Yes. So when in order to access, so with these. Stopwatch icons. If you click on, like you hold down Alt and you click on it, it opens up their expression panel, basically. So think of it as like a little tiny drawer that you can basically, you kind of peek in, and then you're like, okay, cool, here we go. So then you can add, and depending on how savvy you are with expressions in After Effects, that's like, then you can kind of create your own tools, and then a lot of it's also touch and go. I mean, a lot of the times you're going to find too, when it comes to a lot of these, if you guys are into that sort of thing, a lot of plugins, a lot of tools here in After Effects are created by expressions. They're basically a lot of these things. I mean, it's like coding, but you'll be surprised. Like a lot, you can actually make your own tools. There's a really great tutorial too on how to make like changing clock gears inside After Effects, which is really fun. But it is very expression heavy. But I definitely say, if you're into it, try it out. But you don't. It's not a requirement for my assignments. But it does. I would say, like, if I see it, I'll be like, all right. Any questions so far? Okay. So yeah. So what I want you guys to do is, I want you guys to now create your. You know, it doesn't have to be a corgi. It could be whatever you guys want. Play around with like maybe side to side, just so you guys can get